We'll see you, Petch.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go ahead and bring in Lauren Embree. She's with Embree Wellness, has her own company based in Austin, Texas. There it is. She got the Florida hat, the Florida Gator. Lauren, what's going on?
Hi, guys. Good to see you again.
Hi there, Lauren.
Good to see you again. So, look, we were just so excited. We've been talking about nutrition this entire day because we couldn't wait to get you on. I've got pancakes, scrambled eggs,
Your
potatoes.
favorite topic. Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, I've got butter to put on the pancakes. No, but I think, Lauren, thanks.
It's not Christmas yet.
Thanks again for joining us. I think we want to focus on kind of the holidays, right? We want to focus on a lot of people who are watching. They see these great athletes and their nutrition's on point. But for just the normal fans watching, kind of what should they focus on in the holidays and stay maybe away from a little bit in the nutrition?
Yeah, I mean, nutrition, as you know, I was on here a few months ago, and we just talked about just general nutrition and how important it is to how you feel. And over the holidays, there's no real reason to, start January 1st. You can totally start before then and not just go off the rails in the holidays, but also enjoy yourself and enjoy being around people. So there's a few good tips that we like to talk about too, with all our clients. One being don't restrict yourself, have dessert, have your alcohol throughout the whole year, right? So you don't feel like you're just hitting it hard those first 2 weeks. Everything in moderation.
I don't like that so much, Lauren. Everything in moderation. I like the first bit, you can have your alcohol, but the moderation bit. I've just put some nutrition in my backpack there, so lovely to meet you for the first time. I listened to you on the podcast with Money Mitch. You were fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Mitch is awesome. But yeah, just also healthy swaps. I know that I was there doing healthy swaps for just your everyday, but there's healthy swaps when you're cooking casseroles and staples for holiday stuff, subbing out Greek yogurt for mayonnaise. And I know that might not sound too appealing, but I promise it's pretty good. But subbing out quinoa for rice and pasta. There's ways to get around these heavy dishes without feeling horrible after you eat them. But yeah, try not to skip meals. Try not to save it up for one meal because then you'll probably overeat. So just go about your normal day, eat breakfast, work out, do all the things, and then just treat yourself a little more in those holiday dishes.
So, Lauren, I love my breakfast. I'm eating breakfast within 5 minutes of waking up. But the man that I've been married to for 31 years right now thinks that if he skips breakfast, he gets to push all of those calories to the end of the day.
Smart man.
Fasting. He's fasting.
He married you for 31 years. He's a smart man.
So is it important not to skip meals, or is it okay to kind of put all your calories in one meal, and particularly after 6 o'clock at night, Lauren? That's not a good idea.
Oh my gosh. You guys are on totally different schedules, and hey, it might work for him and it might not, what you're doing works for you, but I do think you're kind of on the right track. Eating that first meal upon waking, because our cortisol, which is our stress hormone, is very high in the morning. It's elevated. So in order to combat that and to keep it pretty low, you want to have some good, healthy food. Which you're probably doing with some protein and fiber and fat. Also, it's better to basically front load your day because that's where your metabolism's really kicking up. That's where you're working out, you're working, you're with the kids, you're doing a lot more during the day. So I'm kind of in your camp, Tracy, about eating enough during the day and not saving it for the end.
Again.
Don't build her up. Don't build her up. No.
Right again. I'll have to let Scott know he's wrong again.
That wouldn't be the first time in 31 years that Scott's been wrong, has it? Anyway, Lauren, just a quick one. You make a great point about loading up on breakfast. I was fortunate enough to work on the WTA Tour for a couple of years when I quit playing, and I was with a Croatian girl. And obviously, from Europe, they have a very different attitude to breakfast. In the UK, we tended to eat sort of cereals with quite high sugar content.
Muesli. You guys like muesli?
Muesli, orange juice, pretty high sugar. And they would eat kind of what I would consider almost dinner. I mean, they would go with meats, they would go with cheese, they'd obviously try and eat bread, but obviously I'd like to get your view on what bread is good and which is bad bread, because obviously that's a whole minefield that I don't navigate well. But it is interesting how different cultures actually eat in a completely different way. And if you look at their health span, the Mediterraneans in particular live the longest in Europe.
Totally. And they're doing for sure, a standard American diet is probably not the best option, because if you're ever put a blood sugar or blood glucose monitor on yourself and tracked your blood sugar, which is how elevated it gets and how low it gets, a lot of these sugary cereals and white processed foods really just spike our inflammation and spike our blood sugar. So by doing what a lot of the Europeans do is having like a meat and a protein and a avocado and a healthy fat and some fiber as their first meal, their blood sugar is way more stable. So they're actually probably more, have way more energy and just more optimal throughout the day. So it's really just, everybody's a little bit different, but in order to not be snacking all the time, you need a good satiating, nutrient-dense, fulfilling meal, and that comes with protein and fat and fiber in your first meal at whatever time of the day, hopefully before 6 p.m., but hopefully like before 11, just to combat those cortisol levels and keep your blood sugar stable so you have energy to do everything you need to do for the whole day.
And Lauren, kind of walk us through, the difference in going to the grocery store and shopping or doing the online shopping. Because I think a lot of people get their meats and fruits and veggies kind of from the grocery store, but then there's also the online grocery shopping where you can have it delivered to you. What's kind of the better thing to do, and what's the difference for you?
Yeah, so navigating, we just did a whole course on like navigating the grocery store, and there's like the GPS on how to properly do that. But you can order, obviously now a lot, it's convenient to like order it to your house, which is fine. But I would always recommend getting fresh produce and things on the outside aisle like meat and seafood, and going to get it, because you're just gonna have more options. Staying on the perimeter is really, really just one of the best tips that you can just. A simple way to get clean whole foods and one ingredient foods. So you can maybe order like packaged stuff, bread and milk and things on the in the inner aisles. But I would try my best to go, because that's where all the fresh stuff is, which is really what we should be eating anyway.
So, Lauren, there's so many different diets, and people get locked into certain set routines. And I'm going to call him out. My youngest one, Sean, he's gotten into a lot of
He didn't realize
he was going to take.
He didn't realize he was taking a stray today, did he, on T2?
Everybody in my family is apparently getting a hit today. So he's into no seed oils. He's very strict with that. He likes a ton of eggs. I thought there was a problem with too many eggs, but lots of eggs, lots of meat, and not too much starches, I guess it's called. But I told him last night, are you eating any vegetables? So what about these kind of, to me, it seems kind of extreme. What do you think? Hovering, shush.
Helicopter mum.
This is such a good topic, because he's definitely on track with, higher protein. That's what he's doing, is more carnivore-esque probably approach to nutrition. I do think if you go full carnivore, obviously you're missing some minerals and nutrients and vitamins that you're getting in meats and vegetables and fruits. So those.
Oh, he eats fruit. He eats fruit too. Sorry, but not vegetables.
Oh, great.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, everybody's different. I'm definitely more in the camp of actually what he's currently doing, because that's how you promote and maintain muscle mass, is getting enough protein. But trying to go cooked veggies sometimes is maybe a little bit more optimal than just raw veggies from a stomach standpoint, like easier to digest and better on your stomach. You're not going to feel as bloated. But I'm kind of in his camp of like a high protein, and the only way to get enough protein is to eat those like organic, clean, well-sourced animal products. But having eggs, the egg thing is hit or miss for people. They can be inflammatory. So if people's skin starts to flare up, or they start to have some brain fog.
Your body might handle eggs. That's the point. Yeah. That's the point, right? His body may not get inflamed. Yeah. So you can just keep eating your eggs. Yeah.
And the seed oils, Lauren, the seed oils, because he's like so strict. He came in my pantry and starts throwing everything out. These are the wrong oils, What are good and what are bad?
He would be my best friend. Yes, he's on the right track. So seed oils are very high in omega-6s, which are inflammatory. So that's canola oil, peanut oil, soybean oil, cottonseed oil. Basically, if you look at the back of a package or anything in a package, it might have one of these seed oils. So he's probably looking for avocado and olive oil in your pantry, maybe some grass-fed butter. Those are omega-3 oils, so those are not seed oils, and that's what you want to cook with. If you or your husband are cooking for the fam, he'll approve with avocado or olive oil, but he'd probably want to approve with like Pam spray or canola oil.
You're right.
Because seed oils are in everything, even in restaurants. So he probably doesn't eat out a lot either. Because there's a lot of seed oils and
she's right. And something called ghee, G-H-E-E. I mean, I'm going into the woods here with this stuff.
Ghee. Yep. No, you're tracking. Clarified ghee too. They're all anti-inflammatory. So he's trying to obviously limit. We're all trying to limit the inflammation in our body, because that's what causes a lot of disease and makes us really sick and, prone to diabetes and all these things. So if there is two things to try and watch out for in people's diet, it's seed oils and sugar.
Quick question.
Probably got that down.
Quick question on protein. Like, how much is the right amount? I mean, I guess it comes down to sort of body mass, and there's obviously a calculation. But for a guy, for an average guy, for an average lady, what's the right amount of protein?
The right amount of protein to just maintain and build lean muscle mass and not lose it is a gram per pound of your ideal body weight.
Oh. Gram per
That's
pound.
perfect, because I'm an ideal body weight. So that's, So about 160 pounds then. I mean, so 160 grams of protein.
Your body looked a bit like Kaboli right there with all the abs. It's tough one for Kaboli. He had to retire there.
Too lean for you. 180 would be good.
If you can go 1.2, like a lot of athletes and tennis players and any athlete is going to be a little bit more on the higher side, but it's going to vary. A gram per pound is honestly minimum.
Well, tough one for Kaboli there. He had to retire against Alex de Minaur.
Yeah.
So now Alex de Minaur is only 115 points off of getting into that number 9 spot. So he's right there on Grigor Dimitrov. He's right on top of him. And we'll see if he can keep moving up.
And Lauren, of course, you played at the Gators. We know that, but you keep a good eye, I would imagine, on McCartney Kessler. Unfortunately, came second best against Kasakina. Go Gators.
Go Gators. McCartney is such a baller. She's doing great. I'm so happy to see her do well. She had a great collegiate career, such a nice kid, so fun to coach. So it's really, really cool to see her have so much success. She loves tennis and she's a hard worker, and I think it's just going to be up for her from here on out.
Lauren, we see a lot of people, having kind of these meals made for them, the meal diet. So what's kind of the proper diet for these meal plans? Like, what should we be looking out for? If I'm going to go to a company and say, okay, I want X, X, and X, what should I tell them to do?
Tracy honestly hit it. So make sure these meal prep companies aren't cooking with a bunch of seed oils. So I would ask what they're cooking it and then where they're sourcing their meat and their products. That's really important. And then the macros. So they all have to put their macros, and macros are like protein, fat, carbs, right? We obviously, in order to keep our body fat pretty low and muscle mass high and feel pretty lean and strong, we want those macros to be in good ratio. That means protein's the highest, followed by carbohydrates, followed by some healthy fat. But if those are missed or protein's super low, then we're probably not optimizing our nutrition and getting the most nutrient-dense foods that we can for our body.
Lauren, I feel like we're not giving you enough love for your tennis because you're also a fantastic tennis player. We see you're a 5-time All-American at the University of Florida. You also won the Wild Card Challenge to get to Roland Garros. What was that like to win that and to go play a major representing the U.S. and winning that Wild Card Challenge?
Yeah, that was so long ago. Wow. I was 17, and back then they just took the top Americans and we played off for the wild card to get into the French, and I had a really good week on clay. I grew up on clay, so it was in my advantage, and ended up playing the French at 17, a month before I went to Florida, and was one of the peaks, highlights of my tennis career. Honestly, super fun. I drew one of the top 10 seeds. It was Nadia Petrova, so I was pumped to play on a big court. And at the time of my life, got my butt kicked, but had such good experiences and moments, and then it kind of propelled me to get the confidence to go to Florida, and had a great time in career and around the best people, well coached. And then from there, I went on tour and also had a great time, and visited places that I would have never got to see if I didn't have tennis in my life. So having tennis as my background just also introduced me to amazing people and giving me great opportunities. And it was a good ride.
Well, as far as work ethic and nutrition, I mean, Lauren Embree is at the top of that. I mean, she's still hitting balls all the time. You're at the top of the mountain, and you're still hitting balls all the time.
What mountain is that?
Yeah.
That's actually near you guys in Palm Springs. We did a 14er.
You just ran up that mountain. For sure you ran all the way up.
Is it San
There was
Jacinto?
no walking.
San Jacinto, Lauren, which one is it?
Yes.
San Jacinto.
Yes, San Jacinto. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, Lauren's on top of it. Lauren, we might have some beef though. Tell me what you think about beans, because I heard you maybe are not a fan of beans, and I put pinto beans, black beans on my Chipotle burrito, which you love when you hear that I'm having Chipotle. But what do you think about beans? Is that not a good thing?
Oh my gosh, they're hit or miss. It's a high fiber food. They're high starch, high carbohydrate. So you just want to pair them with other things. And you probably like double or triple the meat on your Chipotle order.
Of course I do.
That's fine. Yeah, of course you do. It's like I know you. But yeah, so having the ratio is optimal. Like you don't want a lot of rice and beans and starch and then like all of these carbohydrates and no protein. So you got to balance it out. But beans might hurt people's stomachs. So it's in moderation with all the lentils and seeds and grains and beans and things like that.
And I think for athletes, I mean, it's always kind of a discussion as far as how do we get to our optimum performance. And a lot of it is we talk about sleep, we talk about hydration. So maybe you can kind of throw in a little bit of your knowledge about what is the best, how many hours should we sleep,
Yeah.
how much should we be drinking water, electrolytes to be able to perform at the top level.
Yes, great conversation. I mean, all of this stuff that we're talking about, super high on the priority list, but sleep is actually way higher. So if I'm doing all this, but jeopardizing my sleep, or as adults and as high performing athletes, 7 to 9 hours, but the quality of sleep matters way more than the quantity. So being in bed before 10, and waking up at 5 or 6, getting 7 to 8 hours, rather than going to bed at 12, waking up at 9, getting more hours, but it's less quality. You're gonna feel worse actually. So sleep hygiene and just making sure we prioritize that from a recovery standpoint and hunger hormone standpoint as well. We've all been there where we, didn't sleep well or was out late or had a late match. You're way hungrier the next day because your hunger hormones are not firing properly.
How does Scott do on a sleep?
So you said before 10 p.m. If you can get to bed before 10 p.m., that's a good barometer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
How do you drink?
That's a great barometer.
How do you drink alcohol and go to bed before 10 p.m.?
I thought you don't drink alcohol. You said
Alcohol seems to be pretty important.
Drink. You said you don't. I mean,
I was lying.
He was lying. Okay, Lauren, I want to be
alcohol space too. Oh my gosh.
I want to put my travel correspondent hat on for this next question because I hear that you have moved from Florida to Austin, Texas. I have been to Austin one day of my life when they played Davis Cup years ago, but I was in to the stadium and out, didn't get to see it. Tell us what Austin is like. We've heard so much about it.
Oh my gosh. Well, the person sitting right next to you too had actually introduced me to Austin when I first moved here, Nick. So
let's go.
Austin is such a lively, eclectic, diverse, welcoming community of people. I mean, it is very high in the wellness space too. A lot of podcasters, a lot of nutritionists out here, a lot of experts. But
Chris Williamson's there. Chris Williamson's from Austin.
Yeah.
He is from Austin. Great podcast, by the way.
My daughter-in-law produces his
Well,
podcast.
he's a great podcaster, obviously, Lauren, because he's British. He's actually from the north of England. It's rare that somebody's so eloquent that comes from the north of England, but Chris is one of them.
But yeah, Tracy, if you're ever in Austin, you have 2 people now that can take you around.
I would love to see it. I heard there's lakes and mountains. It's a little more different than the rest of Texas.
And Lauren, just for clarification, just before you go, I just want to make sure that this is the kind of food that we're talking about that you should fuel your body with. I don't know if we can get a nice close-up of this, but here we go. Is that looking good?
What is on there? They've got the bun. We got
Well, I got
bacon,
eggs. I've got eggs. I've got red meat, and I've got a bit of bread. I mean, surely those are 3 of the highlights of the day.
Surely you won't be super tired in about 20 minutes.
Well, I've only got to carry these guys for another 28 minutes, and then I've got the day off, Lauren, but my shoulders are getting... I do want to say one thing on a serious note. I know we've got some snacks over here, but just a quick one. When I had COVID, how much are we scratching the surface of nutrition in the body? I ended up having an issue with my citrus acid cycle, and I've got energy, and I literally couldn't stay awake for the whole day. I would literally go and do something for an hour. I would fall asleep on the couch. It never, ever happened to me. I ended up finding a nutritionalist who gave me these 5 separate supplements, who ended up solving it within a space of about 2 weeks. It broke whatever blockage I had in my citrus acid cycle, and I ended up getting back to full energy again. I mean, where are we at in this world of nutrition?
I mean, that is a lot. First of all, great nutritionist for her to be able to do that, or him. But second of all, a lot of it is gut health. So your whole immune system resides in our gut, and trying to solve that puzzle is through hydration, supplements, nutrition, vitamin C. It's curing and helping strengthen our immune system, because that's where all the disease kind of lies, and that's where COVID really zaps that. So she was able to pinpoint that and give you healthy stuff to kind of bring that back to life, which is probably why you felt a little bit better. But
I feel
really
great.
starting
I'm
from
just
the
about to
root
tuck
cause.
into this.
Yeah, great. Dive in.
Lauren, if somebody's going to purchase supplements at Whole Foods, wherever they might go get their vitamins, what are the top 3 or 4 that they should be focused on when they go to the store?
Great question.
Great question. There's so many, but here's 3 that I think is just a great place to start for the average person that we're all pretty low in vitamin D.
Yes.
Super important to just take 2,000 to 5,000 IUs as like a maintenance dose. We don't see this done enough. Really hard to get through food. Vitamin C, again, immune system support. If you feel like you have a cold coming on or you're traveling a lot, that's a lot of tennis players, like a healthy high dose of vitamin C. And then the third one would be probably a tie between a magnesium and a creatine. Which Tracy, I'm sure your son's all over creatine.
Yeah.
But these 2 are great for brain health as well. So creatine is very programmed to be like recovery and muscle mass and staying lean, but there's a lot of studies now from a cognitive function standpoint. So that's where I would start, and then obviously get like lab draws, blood tested, and see kind of what you're deficient in. But
Lauren,
that
was awesome. Can you just? I think people at home didn't pick that up. Can you just repeat like that little snapshot there
Just
you
repeat
had?
the 3.
I'm just going to take a bite while I eat this.
I think it's vitamin D,
Yeah,
right?
go back to the vitamin
C.
D was brilliant.
Vitamin D, 2,000 to 5,000 IUs maintenance dose. Everybody will have higher energy on a higher vitamin D. Vitamin C, which is key for your immune system. That's what keeps us healthy all the time. And then a tie between a magnesium, which is helpful for recovery and sleep. A lot of people really struggle with sleep. And creatine, which is good for brain health and cognitive function.
So we
good
have
place
these-
to start.
Wait, just to finish up, last question, because I have her, and it's
Oh,
free.
you've always got to have the last word.
No, because calcium, I thought you had to have calcium to help you with the vitamin D. Is that right?
So you can pair the 2 together if you want, but you can also just take vitamin D with vitamin K, and that will also help the absorption.
Okay. Thank
and
you.
most brands have those 2 together. So.
Thank you.
Well, we have these snacks at Tennis Channel. Do we have any creatine in these Cheetos, the Cheeto Puffs, or the Pop Chips? Yeah, and last time you were here, you told us to get better snacks. I think we just didn't listen. We got the Quaker caramel rice
all?
grapes.
How's the food coloring in this one? The food coloring's good for
Yeah.
you? Extra special.
Oh, you want extra ease.
Really
Ease are
okay.
great.
There's probably some seed oils in there too.
So, Lauren, people love Nutella, and they literally just eat it by the jar or spoonfuls. What do you think about Nutella? Is this good as a snack?
I am going to put a blood glucose monitor on every person in that studio and see what happens when you eat the snack. They will skyrocket.
Oh, my goodness. We need Lauren to come back and
Oh
just
my
bring
God.
all the snacks, bring everything.
Baby
We need her
steps.
back in studio.
What we don't want is Lauren having a webcam into my food habits. That's all we definitely
No, we're
don't
going to
want.
have a sponsor by a vitamin company. That's what we're going to have next.
Yeah, I'll show you
Right?
next.
That's the next step. Baby step.
Yeah, you're right. I need to take some baby steps.
Well, Lauren, thanks so
Yeah.
much for joining us. I think we all learned something. I don't know if Petch did. He's going to keep eating his sandwich. But we just need to throw these snacks on the ground right now, you know?
Yes.
Lauren, that's
just
been awesome. It's not easy to segue away from a career in tennis as you've done from Florida and all those
Thank
dreams
you.
to produce something that you are. I know it's not an easy business at times that you're doing. So is it embreewellness.org? Is that where people should go?
Yes, that has all of the information, all the nutrition stuff. So embreewellness.org is me.
Go
Thank
get
you, Lauren.
Thank you
Fantastic.
guys so much.
Great follow on Instagram as well. Thanks for your time. You've been awesome.
Wow, that actually helped.